Hi guys, thanks for joining me for All Things Amy. Today I'm going to show you how to make sourdough bread. Perfect batch every time. So the first thing we're going to do is make sure our sourdough is ready, and you're just going to take a clear container with water so to make sure it's floating, and just take a little scoop of your sourdough and just plop it in, and if it sinks down, it's not ready. And if it floats, it is ready. And it is floating. Okay, so we're ready to do this. So this recipe is, I'm not kidding, is fail proof if you do what I'm doing here. Okay, you're gonna add 4 cups of flour. Now we're gonna add 2 teaspoons of salt, and I use sea salt, just for the health benefits. And that we're going to set aside. Then over in the smaller bowl, we are going to add a half of a cup to a cup of our yeast. And the more you add, it's going to be a stronger sourdough flavor, and also it'll rise a little bit better. I usually do about that much, 3/4 of a cup, right there. Pour that in, and now we're going to add 2 cups of water, one just scant. The second cup just short of 1 cup of water. Stir up the dry mixture, and then stir up the yeast and the water. It doesn't have to be mixed perfectly well, because you'll see why. We're going to just add it into this mixture next. Okay, now we're going to mix this in, and I usually use the spoon for the first little bit, and then I actually will do the rest with my hands. And I'm not kneading it, I'm just incorporating the water with the flour. So take the rings off and get in there and just keep mashing it together until you have no flour left on the sides and it's all incorporated. All right, this is what it looks like when you're going to let it rest for 30 minutes. It's kind of tacky and sticky and firm and kind of rough looking, but all the moisture is incorporated. Then you're going to just cover it with a wet towel, put it in a warmer place in your home, not where it's super cold. And right now for 30 minutes, we're going to let it rest. All right, so now we're going to do the stretch and fold. It's really easy. Get your fingers wet and just stretch this dough, fold it in. Twist it, stretch it, and fold it in. We're going to do this 4 or 5 times until the dough is really tight. You'll feel it harder to stretch. This is probably the last stretch that it'll do. Then turn this around and cover, and 30 more minutes do the same thing again. Okay, and then after doing this, you're going to let it proof for about 2 to 4 hours. Right, the dough is ready to be stretched and folded and then formed into the shape for it to rise. So just gently pull this off. And you're literally going to just let it stretch. You'll see big bubbles, and let those stay intact. I mean, some of them will pop, but they don't have to. So after it stretches, fold it and then pick it up the other direction. And just stretch it one more time. Okay, fold that again. And then we're gonna shape it with a little bit of flour. Now, if the dough isn't very sticky or wet, you don't have to use flour. But if it's a little bit wet, then I have found if you use a little bit of flour, it keeps its shape better after it rises and you cook it. Okay, I'm just gonna pull this down. And you don't wanna rip the dough, and I'm trying not to pop those sweet air bubbles. Okay, right now we just put this in this container. Parchment paper, and it's been lightly sprayed. This is going to literally raise where we want it, and then we'll pull this out to cook it. All right, this is after it has raised, and it is beautiful. It's ready to go in. This is for sure my favorite part. It's pretty fun. So what we're gonna do is we're going to, just like we will do every time we do sourdough, we have this pan in here getting hot. We're gonna add the hot water in. And then we're gonna score this. If you wanna come in and see this, I'm gonna do one down the center. There's so many different ways to do this, but this is my favorite. And come across this way. Nice score. Then just very gently lift this up to keep its shape. There you go, it's perfect. And then we're gonna just put this into the oven. For 38 minutes. We'll see in a minute. Woo, I'm excited. Okay, I cooked it at 475 for 38 minutes. I got the hard crust that I wanted, and I let it sit for about an hour before I cut into it, and it was delicious. Thanks so much for joining me in All Things Amy today. Hope you join me again. Remember, all things done with love.